What is up, Colts Nation? Welcome to today's episode of Colts Latest. I am your host, Scott Reiman, coming to you from, once again, sunny San Rafael, California, here in the beautiful San Francisco Bay Area. Before we get started today, as always, have to give a huge thanks to FanArch. Without FanArch, I would not be here talking Colts with all of y'all, which I love doing, so thank you so much, FanArch. If you like what you see, please do me a huge favor, like this video and subscribe to the Colts Latest channel. That's how FanArch is able to keep putting out great content for all of you. So thank you all, appreciate the watching, appreciate the likes, and appreciate the subscriptions. Okay, we're going to get back to our draft preview, where we're going to look at a few players who the Colts might target in round 4 with the 113th pick. But first, I want to talk about one of the more controversial pending decisions that the Colts have over the next few weeks, and that is the future of Daniel Jones. Look, the Colts have already made it clear that they want Daniel Jones to be their quarterback of the future, and why not? The guy was leading a historically efficient offense through 10 games last season and was only derailed due to injury. He showed the poise and the talent that led him to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft only a few short years ago. He has more weapons around him now than he's ever had, and with the hopeful return of Alec Pierce, who could take another step forward next season, along with Tyler Warren developing into a potential first receiving option for Jones and a full offseason knowing he's the starter and continuing to develop with Shane Steichen, bringing him back seems like a no-brainer. Now, the one thing that could derail negotiations would be his recovery from the torn Achilles he suffered week 14 last season. I'm not a doctor. Adam Schefter isn't a doctor. Most of these analysts are not doctors. But all indications right now are that Jones will be healthy, if not by training camp, then very shortly after it begins. Now, could he re-injure that Achilles next season? Sure. Could he suffer another injury unrelated to the Achilles? Sure. But many QBs are injury prone. If his medicals come back clear, then are conjecture and speculation about potential further injuries really a reason not to bring him back? I don't think they are. And I'm going to tell you why. The biggest reason they have to sign him is what other choice do they have? And look, I know that's not the greatest reason to make a decision, but honestly, what better option do they have right now than re-signing Daniel Jones? Riley Leonard is not ready to be a full-time starter in the NFL. Maybe someday he will be. Right now, he can be a capable backup, which is important to have behind a quarterback returning from an injury like an Achilles. But he won't be able to lead this team to a division title having to start 17 games. I just don't believe that yet. The Anthony Richardson ship has sailed in Indy, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him moved for middle of the draft compensation this offseason. The Colts traded their 6th round pick last year to the Vikings for Mekhi Blackmon. Now they are recouping that pick as a compensatory pick for losing Joe Flacco, but they don't have a lot of picks in this draft, and adding more picks would allow them to shore up that defense, take some flyers on some guys, fill some holes, and if they can get something in the middle of the draft for Anthony Richardson or use him to maybe move up in the draft, I don't see why they wouldn't do it. I don't think Anthony Richardson plays another snap for the Colts. We talked yesterday about potential quarterbacks that could be on the board for the Colts on day 2 of the draft. But not only would that mean starting over at quarterback and potentially not only wasting Jonathan Taylor's prime years, but also the final years of some of the studs on defense, it would also prevent the Colts from filling other holes on the roster that they need with those day 2 picks. I'd much rather use a 2nd or 3rd round pick on a linebacker or a defensive end than have to use one on a quarterback, especially when there's going to be so much value to be had at those defensive positions in the 2nd and 3rd round. Looking at the free agent market for quarterbacks this year, it is abysmal. Jones is by far the highest rated free agent quarterback on the market. Look at some of the names we're looking at behind Daniel Jones as free agents this year. We're looking at Malik Willis, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Marcus Mariota, Joe Flacco, Jimmy Garoppolo, Kenny Pickett, Mitchell Trubisky, Zach Wilson, and Kirk Cousins. Any of those names inspire confidence? You think any of those guys are going to lead the Colts to a division title? maybe Malik Willis, but he's going to get overpaid, and he's done very little to prove that he can be a successful long-term starter in the NFL. Now, Kyler Murray and Tua Tagovailoa are also expected to be released, and I could see Kyler as a potential fallback option should they not be able to bring back Daniel Jones, but I also think he's going to get overpaid. He hasn't really done anything to show that he can lead a team to a division championship or to a Super Bowl, so I just don't know that that's the direction they're going to want to go either. Now, if Anthony Richardson does get moved, I could see them signing someone like Mariota or Flacco to a one-year deal as insurance, especially if DJ isn't ready to start game one. But those guys are also clearly not 17-game starters. They're nothing more than veteran insurance. So, look, like it or not, Colts fans, Daniel Jones is the best option out there, no matter the cost. The only question that remains is, do they agree on a long-term deal that's acceptable to both the team and the player, or do they have to tag him to avoid letting him get away? We know that they're currently negotiating a deal, and the Colts have from February 17th next week till March 3rd to use the franchise tag. So the next few weeks are going to be very telling about the direction the Colts are headed in free agency. Okay, enough about Daniel Jones. We're going to be talking about him plenty in the coming weeks. But let's take a look at a couple of the players that have been linked to the Colts with their fourth round pick, number 113 overall. Sticking with the theme of drafting to bolster the front seven, which I expect the Colts to do until the later rounds of the draft, when they can possibly explore adding some offensive line and or running back depth, 6'4", 325-pound defensive tackle Dominique Orange from Iowa State could be a good fit for a team with two aging defensive tackles in DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart. Orange is a big boy, and he's always been a big boy. He was 300 pounds in 9th grade, and by his senior year of high school, he was over 400 pounds, earning him the nickname Big Citrus, which I'm kind of obsessed with. Through changing his eating habits, he got down to 350 pounds during his freshman year of college before settling in at his current playing weight of 325 pounds his junior year. He said that losing the weight vastly improved his stamina, as during his freshman season he could only play 15 to 20 snaps per game, but now he can play, quote, however many they want me to, end quote. This alone shows that he has the work ethic and the determination to improve himself not only on the football field, but in all aspects of his life. He's also freakishly athletic for his size, as hopefully we'll find out at the Combine, causing the publication The Athletic to name him to their 2024 Freaks list, highlighting the most athletic college players. And having mentors like Buck and Grove would only help Big Citrus continue to develop his tools, and he could be ready to take over when one or both of those guys decide to hang it up. All right, looking at another big defensive tackle with a great nickname, the Colts have also been linked to 6'2", 320-pound Dante Corleone from the University of Cincinnati. Given his last name, you can probably guess what his nickname is. Yes, it's the Godfather. I don't love it quite as much as Big Citrus, but it's still pretty solid and definitely more intimidating than Big Citrus. Now, Corleone grew up in Cincinnati and was a huge Cincinnati Bearcats fan. So when his head coach, Luke Fickell, left Cincinnati to go coach my alma mater, the Wisconsin Badgers, where hopefully he won't be for long, but that's another story, the Godfather elected to stay a Bearcat rather than enter the transfer portal due to his love of the city. So we know that he's loyal. Now, there are a couple of red flags around Corleone, however, which are partially responsible for his fourth-round draft projection. In June of 2024, Corleone was diagnosed with blood clots in his lungs, something that sidelined him during the offseason and put his whole football career in jeopardy. Now, he seemingly made a full recovery, but it's still scary and something that has to be noted. In addition, he missed several games last season due to what was called a lower body injury, and when he did play, his numbers were down from previous seasons. His redshirt freshman season in 2022 was possibly his strongest when he recorded 3 sacks and 2 forced fumbles, which got him named first team All-AAC and a preseason All-American in 2023. Now, his tackles, sacks, and forced fumbles were all down in 2025, although he was still named second team All Big 12 after being named first team in 2024. So this talent is still clearly there. The health concerns have probably had an effect on his draft stock, but I'm sure the Colts medical team will do their due diligence, and if they deem him healthy, then he could be a good value at a position of need in the 4th round. Okay, that's going to do it for today. We'll see if any big news or rumors come out this weekend as we head into franchise tag week. Regardless, we're going to continue with our draft preview next week as we get into the later part of the draft where the Colts have 4 picks in the final 3 rounds. Like I said earlier, I can see them perhaps using some of those picks to shore up the offensive line, maybe try to find some more depth behind Jonathan Taylor, but I do expect that they will continue to look at the defensive side of the ball in this draft. They could also look at a receiver if it turns out that they lose Alec Pierce and or have to release Michael Pittman Jr. to get that cap space back. All right, thank you again for watching. Appreciate it. Love you all. Please like this video, please subscribe to the channel, and let's go Colts!